Welcome to the Week 11 early edition of Pickwatch Live. I'm John Halpin. That's Ryan Fowler. Eli! Woo!
I think you just put him in the hall right after that game, don't you?
Right?
Coming back against the Niners and a Nick Mullins-led offense to do that. It wasn't the Super Bowls. It wasn't the David Tyree catch. It was that game that defined Eli's legacy.
It was a solid effort at the end. He wasn't perfect, and he threw a wounded duck to Odell Beckham Long in the third quarter, and it was not the prettiest thing, and they got a win against a bad team with a third-string quarterback. But otherwise, things are great.
Hey, I picked them to cover, so I'm happy. That's all that matters.
Right. Yeah, I was pretty excited. Even though I thought about it later, I went, "Oh, right, they're screwing up the draft pick."
That's Browns do. Yeah, the Browns did that. Outside of last year, the Browns tend to do that too. I get it.
Right. So anyway, good job, Giants. Way to go.
Yeah.
They used Evan Ingram a little bit late. Finally, my friends I have a little group chat with some of my Giants fan friends, and they were joking around there. What are they doing with Evan Ingram? He's terrible. He doesn't do anything. Like, well, his defense, they don't throw to him, but then they did on the last drive.
And he was bracketed a lot. They would bracket him over the middle too, so that made it a little tricky.
Yeah, I'm an Ingram guy. Look, maybe they shouldn't have drafted him, and he definitely can't block, but that's not what he's there for. So,
right.
Not so bad. All right. Everybody, we're going to check out you know what? You want to do screen share? Whoop-whoop.
Let's screen share it up. I really do think we need segue music into the screen share, though.
We do.
We'll talk to Sean about that.
We'll talk to Sean about the segue into the screen share. Again, I got to make sure I close down all my objectionable material on the screen.
Yeah. Anything related to Rutgers University, Kenny Britt.
That is so. Rutgers is so
Mohamed
objectionable.
Sanu. Anybody who's is there a great basketball player from Rutgers ever?
Let's see. Best one that they've had. Eddie Jordan, who went on to coach in the NBA. Yeah. Might have been one of the best. Let's see. Phil Sellers was the best, but no one ever heard of him. They actually made the big deal when I got there, which was a long time ago, that they made the Final Four in 1976.
Oh, you got to live that up.
Yeah. And I don't know. They're getting better, though. The coach that's there now, it's his third year. They're actually improving. It's going to take a while.
All those tabs look non-objectionable.
Yes, they do look non-objectionable. All right, so look at Jamie Eisenberg from CBS leading the pack.
Sheesh. He had a great week. So did Clay. Jeez.
Fantasy football guys are smart, Ryan.
They really are. And very, very good looking. We're all in a nice fraternity of male models, too.
Two of the CBS fantasy guys are in the top 5 against the spread. Jamie leads the way. He went 10-3 this week. So he's 83-60. He actually takes the lead over Ben Volen from the Globe. We've been talking about Ben for weeks. Slips a half game into second place.
He is slipping like Tom Brady's career. He is regressing a little bit.
That's a harsh one.
Nah, there's a lot of those articles out there right now, and I chuckle every time because I'm like, you just keep piling on, and they'll flip that. They might not win the Super Bowl, but you always pile on the Patriots too early.
Yeah,
you're gonna pay for it eventually.
I agree. So, all right. So Jamie went 10-3, he's 83-60. Against the spread, you are. Just let's recap the week. You were 8-6 straight up, 7-6 against the spread. So you're 77-64 against the spread for the season. I was 9-5 straight up, also 7-6 against the spread. I am 70-73 for the season. So you're ahead of me.
We almost had the exact same picks, by the way.
Yeah, you are 9th overall. I am 29th against the spread. Josh is 32nd in our pool of 115. Let's say experts. We're not experts, but everybody else is maybe.
No.
What else? So against the spread, Mike Clay from ESPN was 11-2 against the spread. That's a pretty strong outing. Let me see what Mike picked. He's 8th overall. So everybody pushed on the Colts. So he lost on the Panthers and the Chiefs. He had everybody else. So he had the Cowboys again. Interesting. Mike's a huge Eagles fan, and he picked the Cowboys against the spread.
It tells you something. And again, Mike Clay's not there throwing darts. His analysis is about as good as you get across the board. He's putting some time in.
He is. So straight up, the guys from AccuScore are 142. I am 14th at 96-50. You are 28th. Josh is 31st. So you and I sort of are flipped between straight up and against the spread. And yours is more important, really.
And John, this week could have been a lot worse. I don't know how you were looking at it, but I was looking at some of those games and just the way those early games went on Sunday. Those records, 7-6 against the spread, I can't remember what I was straight up, but that could have been a nightmare the way some of those games were going.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. And I scrounged back late
Yeah, same.
in the game on on Sunday, and I think I won all 3 late ones.
Yeah,
Which
we both did. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Fan wise, Lang Yoakum went 9-5, still leads at 105-40 straight up. Birds SB 52. He must not be happy as an Eagles fan today. Still leads at 82-57 against the spread. Okay, they're back on Pickwatch. Newest thing, team pages.
Yes.
Lots of stuff on the team pages, how they do against spread, all that stuff. Go check them out. In addition to being able to track all the experts, your own picks, my picks, Ryan's picks, who's ever. There's tons of stuff. Make your own. We got more than 1,500 people making picks every week, so that's pretty cool. Check it all out at NFLPickwatch.com. You can also on Twitter. He is at Halpin Fowler. I'm at Halpin37. The main account is at Pickwatch. If you have any questions for us along the way. All right, let's get to Week 11. So 6 buys: Bills, Browns, Dolphins, Pats, Jets, Niners. Thursday night's a good game this week.
Yes.
Packers at Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 2.5. Over under 49.5. The Packers, we talked last week, they were kind of desperate, and they had a bad opponent coming in, and they took care of business. It wasn't pretty, but they did it. Aaron Jones ran very well. Finally, Mike McCarthy let him out of the cage, which was nice. Which every Packer observer has been saying all year, let Aaron Jones run, and then he did. It was like, oh, look, hey, this guy's really good.
Right.
Go figure. So.
No, I mean, the one thing that I looked at, it was just funny to watch the body language of those Dolphins on the sidelines in that second half when it was really starting to get cold. I mean, literally, you could see the expressions on their face. You know, they're tough football players. They're gonna. A lot of them are just crazy, but they look cold. And I think you get locked up because your muscles are so used to that nice temperature down there in Miami, and you got to go play in crazy cold weather in the 20s. In that second half, it's going to be hard to stay fresh and stay loose and be able to keep up with the tempo that Aaron Rodgers played with. Again, he had some wide open targets there in that second half because, again, the Packers won that game. Okay, Brock Osweiler also helped the Packers win that game because he's still Brock Osweiler, made some poor decisions. And he threw some tantrums.
He's Brock Osweiler, all right. Yeah. And they lost another receiver, Jakeem Grant, torn Achilles.
Oh, that was nasty. I just remember him pulling up.
I hate the Achilles injury because you see it snap if you look closely, and it looks so painful. Yeah. I mean, the ACLs, the guys I think are more upset. Not that I've ever suffered an ACL,
right?
But some of them walk off, right? Yeah. But the Achilles is like they just fall down screaming, and it just looks like the most awful injury you can have.
Agreed.
So someone was telling me the other day that they knew someone who tore an Achilles, and they said the person that when it gets repaired and it's tight, it never has the elasticity anymore.
Right.
So in your entire life, you're always stretching it.
I believe it. And you probably have, again, for a while there, that ACL popping again was a fear. And that seems to still exist to some extent, but not to the extent of the Achilles. Like, oh, I'm just waiting for it to pop again because of that elasticity.
Okay, so let's talk about this game because we got to make our picks for this one.
Yes, sir.
The Seahawks, they played a close game with the Rams. They refused to get into track. I mean, even though it was 36-31 or whatever the score was, they refused to get into track meets with people. They are so committed to the run. And they have this really good quarterback who you may have heard of. And they keep running Rashawn Penny and Mike Davis. Carson was out the other day. I mean, when do they? I know they're committed. My friend Mario Puig on RotoWire wrote a just takedown of Brian Schottenheimer the other day. Just like, why won't these guys turn Wilson loose? You know, this whole we have to run the ball to win, but you kind of don't. You know, let Wilson. I mean, he's fantastic. Why just turn him loose a little bit? You know, so he's throwing like 28 times a game.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was like 15. I thought Russell Wilson's attempts per game were like 15.
He threw 26 times on Sunday, and that was playing in catch-up mode.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. You know what? Maybe I was thinking completions because there was 2 weeks ago where I think he finished the game with 14 attempts, which is ridiculous. But so was Puig's point that he needs to pass to a banged-up Doug Baldwin who's dragging his body out there each week. Tyler Lockett, who I think most people love, and we'll love to see more Tyler Lockett. But again, defenders are kind of keying in on him because he's the main target. Nick Van Eck catches a touchdown every other game. That's great. The targets that Russell Wilson has to work with aren't as delicious as a running attack that is obviously working. Now, defensive coordinators are going to adjust, but they have it because they're rushing over the last 3 weeks for over 200 yards per game. Plus, Russell can call his own number. So I see Puig's point because there are moments where you're going to have to pass a little bit more, but they're controlling the clock. Maybe controlling the clock allows their defense to look better than they actually are, because we've made the point, oh, that defense, they're going to finally, it's going to catch up to them, but they played well. And maybe that's because maybe that's because the offense is on the field for a long time, trying to control the clock tempo a little bit. I don't think if it's working, roll with it, and you have enough. The one thing that the Seahawks have not had in years past is enough healthy bodies in the backfield to make this work. They're throwing new bodies out there and new look running backs, and they're running for over 200 yards a game.
I know, but I don't know. But I think I'm looking at their time of possession, by the way. They're 12th in the league at 30-54, so fine.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I really think when you go back to weeks 1 through 3, 1 through 4, this wasn't what the Seahawks were doing. This seems to see something that has evolved over the last 2 months where, man, that running back committee is truly a committee. And Russell Wilson, again, sometimes that line breaks down and he can roll out and escape. But when that line breaks down, his options are, again, a banged-up Doug Baldwin who's playing, I think, with some type of horrible knee injury that's going to have to be scoped or something.
I think he's getting better. I mean, health-wise, I think he's getting better.
I don't know. Again, the one thing that I love is fourth quarter Tyler Lockett. If there's a prop bet out there for Tyler Lockett to score a fourth quarter touchdown, I'd be all over it because chances are that's going to happen. As far as pertains to this week against the Packers, I love this matchup for the Seahawks. I absolutely do. I know the one thing that, and I think I said this last week or 2 weeks ago, this isn't the same Packers team that's just going to go out there and roll into the Super Bowl. Their defense isn't very good. Aaron Rodgers seems very frustrated on any given week because, again, he has Devontae Adams, and then he's got like a
bunch of rookies now. Yeah,
he's got a young team, and Jimmy Graham isn't what every fantasy owner hoped he would come back to as far as what he did in New Orleans. And Aaron Jones had a nice week, but I think it's a tough spot for Green Bay on the short week because Seattle, they make 2 games against the Rams close, and the Rams defense isn't very good either. So I like this at home for the Seahawks.
So the last 5 games for the Packers: lost to Detroit, late comeback win at home against the Niners, lost to the Rams, lost to the Patriots, and a workmanlike win over the Dolphins. I mean, it's not super impressive.
No.
I like the Seahawks here.
Yeah, and if you think about it, and I think you mentioned it the week they played the Patriots, they go L.A., New England, home. Now they're going back out to Seattle. That's a lot of travel and not very fun either. But yeah, it's weird. Like you watch the Packers and you're like, okay, they have Aaron Rodgers. Everything's great. And then you watch the game play out and you're like, Aaron Rodgers needs more help. And I know he throws his mumble under his breath tantrums a little different than the more vibrant Phillip Rivers tantrums. But you could just see he's frustrated. Like he knows how many years he has left on whatever his career is. And I think he wishes he still had peak Randall Cobb and peak Jordy Nelson, because then he would know what he had. And now he's just kind of having to carry some of the younger players along, and it's not his bread and butter.
All right. Some numbers on this game that might interest you. Seahawks are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. Packers are 0-4 on the road overall. Under 4 of Green Bay's last 6 have been under. 6 of Seattle's last 8 have been under. The over-under here is 49.5. I'm pretty sure I am. Well, we got to make our picks now, so I'm picking the Seahawks.
Heck yeah, you are.
Yeah,
they're gonna look good. And if they don't, I will be shocked. I think this is one of those games where, and again, Pete Carroll sometimes shoots himself in the foot, but I would be surprised if the Packers do win and cover. I would be surprised how it played out. Like I would just be very, very interested to see, okay, this is how the Packers can do this more the rest of the year, because there's got to be some different chemistry than what they've done the last 5 weeks.
All right, we want to say hello to people watching so far that I see. Ross Brington, Bruce Ragusa, Dwayne Brown-Bate, everybody. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for watching this morning.
Coming
out on Tuesday morning and joining us. Rainy Tuesday morning here, but I got to tell you a youth baseball story later. And I'm definitely going to do it while we're talking on camera. So
let's do it.
I'm going to do it now.
Okay.
So Sunday night, Luke's team, my son Luke's 11, and he started playing baseball this fall after 5 years or so. Luke's a good athlete, but he hasn't played baseball in a long time. So Sunday night, we're winning 8-2 in the last inning. We're playing a playoff tournament. We're winning 8-2, but we run out of pitchers because by rule, the pitchers can only pitch 2 innings.
Uh-huh.
So we're out of pitchers that have actually pitched. So we start bringing in kids who haven't pitched. And there's some walks and wild pitches and a couple of hits. So it was 8-2 in the last inning. Now it's 8-7. Runners on second and third with 2 outs. And our team is, shoulders are slumping.
So you're the manager.
I'm one of the coaches. I'm one of the coaches.
Okay.
Luke's in left field. He actually had been playing second base. He's a lefty. He was playing second base. But when they switched pitchers, they took one of the catchers and put him in second base, and they put Luke in the outfield. Luke's kind of fast. So 2 outs, second and third. Kid hits a fly ball in the gap. Luke runs into the gap, grabs it, dead run, running catch, tumbles over, game over.
Did he need to tumble, John?
He did. The momentum made him tumble.
Okay, that's fair. Well, and when the ball hits the mitt, that knocks over most 11-year-olds.
Yeah.
Especially that.
But, I mean, gloves thrown up in the air, people running it was
awesome.
It was so great. I was joking around. I was like Steve Martin at the end of Parenthood.
Nice.
Running around on the bed. It was just fantastic. So anyway, there's my shout out.
That's a good story.
For saving the game.
I'm amazed that you're playing baseball in mid-November in Charlotte.
And it was probably at first pitch on Sunday night was probably 42 degrees, so it wasn't great.
Yo.
But we've got to finish, and it's been raining for a week. We thought we'd be done with the playoffs. We still have 5 games left. It's like it rains every day. It rains. We're supposed to play tonight. It rained yesterday. It's raining today. I mean, literally, our manager's going on vacation with his kids on Saturday. I don't know what's going to happen. So I think we might just have to call it in the middle of the tournament. It's fall baseball. It's not too serious. But anyway, all right, moving on. Panthers Lions. Panthers favored by 4. Over under 52. The Panthers are just. I agree with Ron Rivera. That game against the Steelers last week, it happens. They ran into a good team on the road. It happens. I am not looking at this saying, oh, the Panthers are not good, or they're a mirage. I don't think that. They're kind of Jekyll and Hyde, though.
Oh, absolutely.
They were down 7
for a while.
I mean, even in that Eagles game, it was a great win, but they were down 17-0, and their offense looked pathetic. The Redskins game, they turned the ball over a lot. So, I mean, they've just kind of been all over the place. But then they beat Baltimore. They looked like the best team in the league when they beat their Ravens.
Right.
I don't know. But the thing is, I don't know what to make of the Lions either. They were awful at Chicago. I know the Bears are back to full strength. They were awful. The Panthers, by the way, 1-3 on the road with the only win, that comeback win over the Eagles. So they're 5-0 at home, 1-3 on the road. What do you think it is? I'm having a hard time with this one because I can't get a bead on either of these teams. If the Panthers came in and took care of business, it wouldn't surprise me. If they laid a bit of an egg, it wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, as far as the Panthers-Steelers, that one I had a pretty good inkling that there was going to be some regression to the mean there because the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And the funny thing about that Panthers-Steelers game was they scored on their first drive and then all heck broke loose. I mean, the punt that buried them inside the 10 just threw everything off. This is tricky because the Lions did make a little bit of a rally late at Chicago. And again, they could have been prevent defense, prevent you from winning type situation for Chicago. But the Lions did come back a little bit. So the offense is still there. The one thing with the Lions is I still don't understand why they traded Golden Tate because they still need that option to compete. I mean, they can't lean on Kerryon Johnson. Marvin Jones has a bone bruise.
Yeah.
So that's another whammy. Galladay has played well. But do they have enough now on offense to keep pace? Because right now, you go back to what the flaws are in the Lions, and they can't stop the rush. And last time I checked, Christian McCaffrey was touching the ball a lot. So if I had to lean here early on Monday, I still have to think about it a little bit, but I feel pretty good with the Panthers covering. That's tricky, though, because, again, the Lions, they have just not looked great the last 3 games. And the Panthers just don't wow me enough to say, oh, I feel so great about this. Again, giving points to the home team is a dangerous proposition. I mean, to be honest, the way that the Lions have played, Falcons were giving 4 at Cleveland last week. The Panthers are giving 4 to a bad Lions team as far as what we've seen as of late. This could be a similar type game where the Lions come out and punch them in the nose a little bit.
Yeah, I when I see a point spread of a road team favored by more than a field goal,
right,
I look and I say, all right, either the favorite's for me to take the favorite, either the favorite has to be really good or the underdog has to be really bad. Yeah. And I'm not sure that's the case here. The Panthers are pretty good, right, but they're tough to figure. I mean, their defense is just not playing great. No. They're just not. The offense has been solid. The defense is not playing great.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see if you take Marvin, and I know one player moving a point spread isn't a bunch, but if they don't have if the Lions don't have Marvin Jones and they traded Golden Tate away, you have Galladay out there, and I couldn't even tell you who their third option is.
They still have TJ Jones. They have a rookie slot guy whose name Brandon something. I can't remember.
Exactly my point. So that gets a little dicey, especially if they have to play from behind, because Kerryon still played well. I just think they jumped the gun on feeling confident with going with Marvin Jones and Galladay and Johnson moving forward.
All right, I need to recall this slot receiver's name, or else it's going to drive me crazy today. So hold Brandon Powell. That's it.
Yeah, nobody's heard of him.
Yeah,
so
they like him. Yeah. But part of the argument for trading Tate was they thought he was going to be able to step in soon enough.
Right, and
at least next season because Tate would be gone with contract and all that.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So another number in this game. Over under, what did I say? 52. Over Panthers, 6 of their last 8 have been over. Lions, 7 of their last 10 have been over. So keep that in mind. Cowboys, Falcons. All right. Far be it from me to question Vegas. But Falcons favored by 3.5. Over under 47.5. So this tells me, I know the Cowboys played an impressive game on Sunday night. I know that the Falcons kind of laid an egg, and I know I was pushing them last week saying, time for the Falcons to start rolling. And they didn't. Not that, but I mean, we don't, I don't think they lost to a bad team. So, but I look at this game and I look at this spread, and this makes me go, all right, so the spread basically suggests, and the rule of thumb is 3 points for the home team. Mm-hmm. This is telling me these teams are evenly matched.
Right.
They're not. The Falcons are better, right?
Until you take into the fact that they just let Nick Chubb, a rookie, rush for 175 yards, and Ezekiel Elliott happens to be pretty good. I think that's where that comes from, because Zeke is just going to carry that load, and the passing game, and I know they get Deion Jones back. Hallelujah! It doesn't matter. I don't know what the Falcons just did. I don't know what the Falcon happened in Cleveland. I mean, what happened in Washington to what happened in Cleveland, with Cleveland reeling. That's where the NFL parity. That's where it's entertaining to me, not from a gambling sense. It's like, wow, Cleveland just all of a sudden woke up. Baker was feeling dangerous, and he goes out there, and Nick Chubb just runs all over the Falcons. It has the longest run or play from scrimmage in Browns history, which if you think about Browns history, that's saying something. Both Browns, not 1999 to present, all the way back. So what happened to the Falcons between – and I know the Redskins are beat up, but the Browns' morale was beat up going into that game. So, again, we're back to not knowing what the Falcons are. In this case, though, I think the Eagles played down to the Cowboys level more so than the Cowboys beat the Eagles. So in this sense, I feel like the Falcons can cover that 3.5. They just have to do something to slow down Ezekiel Elliott, because the rest of that team is not going to beat them.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm picking the Falcons here.
Yeah, the
Cowboys, they went against everything that they were. They've been bad on the road, or they had been bad on the road. They hadn't been able to score points, and they're playing against a good defense. And it's just, I agree with you. I think that was more about the Eagles playing bad.
Yeah, I mean, what Zeke did in that game is incredible.
I do think that Amari Cooper does open things up for Zeke a bit.
Absolutely. I do not disagree. Plus, Michael Gallup, when you watch games of the Cowboys, the rookie Gallup, his name's starting to pop up more and more each week. So they must, as much as Linehan gets destroyed down there, and to an extent, rightfully so,
right? They
are working Gallup into the rotation a little bit more.
Okay. So this game, Deion Jones, a Falcons linebacker, got activated Monday. He might be back this week. That's a big help for them if he's ready to play. By the way, over under 47.5. Cowboys over in 4 of their last 6. Falcons over in 6 of their last 8. I am fairly certain I'm going to take the Falcons here and give the 3.5.
And I think the over will hit too.
You're probably right. Ravens 4.5 over the Bengals. Okay, time to check the news.
We need another segue music. Oh, this is so good.
Little teletype going on there. Is that what we need?
Exactly.
All right.
I always liked Peter Jennings' Nightly News.
Peter Jennings. Wow.
Yeah. I'm a news nerd, though. So pardon me.
So we got here. I don't think we have I saw the spread 4.5 last night.
Mm-hmm.
I am seeing no line somewhere else here. The situation is Joe Flacco's hip is injured.
Yeah.
There's been some reports that he might be done for the year. He might need surgery. And we could see Lamar Jackson. We could see RG3 as well.
Oh, that would be great.
We could see Lamar Jackson starting for the Ravens. I don't know how the line will move. I don't know. Like, I feel like I have to see it. I feel like right now I don't know I'm not going to do anything with this game until I know what the quarterback situation is.
But let's say Lamar Jackson starts. Bengals plus 4.5. It doesn't move. What say you?
I would probably take the Bengals.
I would too. One caveat to that, which is really starting to make my stomach hurt even thinking about it. Nick Mullins makes a spot start 2 weeks ago, covers against a bad Raiders team. So be it. Matt Barkley comes out of the woodwork and just absolutely leads the Bills offense against the Jets team that, who knows, at New York, where are these guys coming off the bench to just lead these teams out? That's where my fear kind of lies with if Lamar Jackson makes his start this week. And RG3, so be it, whatever. I want to focus on Lamar here. The Bengals defense, they just fired their defensive coordinator, Terrell. They're bringing in Hugh Jackson to do Lord knows what. That Bengals team, I guarantee they're not feeling too frisky, but I don't think with Lamar Jackson, there's enough consistency there. There's going to be a learning curve for Lamar in his first start, and I don't think the defense is going to be enough. I think the Bengals have enough on offense to counteract anything that the Ravens throw at them.
Do they? They've been so bad lately.
I know, but I don't know how Lamar puts – again, goes back to my Matt Barkley, Nick Mullins take. You may be surprised to say, oh, they figured out how to use Lamar and win a game but they do have to cover 4.5. That's a lot of points.
I know.
In a division matchup, even without AJ Green for the Bengals. I think that's where – and the Ravens are coming out of the bye. That'll be interesting. I'm with you. We got to wait. But I do find it interesting to see if that spread moves depending on who is named quarterback by Thursday. I would bet.
All right. So, yeah, I'm not sure what I think I lean Bengals, but I might change my mind. Lamar Jackson, what I've seen of him suggests he's not throwing the ball well.
Right.
I had that play in my head against the Panthers where they did the trick play, and he bounced the 10-yard pass to the guy who was wide open.
Yeah. And then again, to the point of how could Lamar Jackson lead this team to a victory of 5 or more points? Maybe they just run the ball 35 times, and that's how that's enough to do it, because watched bad Andy Dalton show up and they work with a short field and Lamar's not put in a position where he has to sustain a 70-yard drive. We've seen enough of these games where it's like, okay, Lamar has to make the start, but the Bengals make the mistakes that makes things easy on Lamar. Like when the Vikings lost to the Bills. The Bills got to work with short fields. Josh Allen gets all the credit. Those type of things do happen, so you have to think about that too.
All right, Steelers-Jags. Steelers favored by 6 at Jacksonville, over under 47.5. These teams, this is teams in opposite directions. Steelers have won 5 straight. Jags have lost 5 straight. It's just, night and day here. However, so the Jags are struggling. I get it. They got Fournette back the other day. He did okay. They had trouble running.
They really did.
But I as much as the Jags have struggled, I'm giving them 6 at home. It's a lot. It's a lot of points.
That's a damnation on Blake Bortles leading the offense. That's nothing, because the Jaguars shut out the Colts, a good Colts offense, in this third and fourth quarters this past weekend. Shut them out. They allowed 29 points in the first half, but they shut them out the third and fourth quarters. So that shows that for all the inefficiencies that the Jaguars defense has regressed, probably more than any other defense this year, they were able to shut out a good offense on their home field, on turf, for 2 quarters. So that's a positive I think the Jaguars have to take into this game. However, man, for how bad the Jaguars defense has played this year, the Steelers are just going to keep throwing different things at you. You're going to cover Juju, Antonio Brown, their 2 tight ends, and James Conner, and the Jaguars can't stop Andrew Luck and his random cast of characters. I don't see how they're going to be able to keep pace unless Leonard Fournette breaks out for 200 yards, because Blake Bortles isn't going to keep them in close range. Does Ben Roethlisberger make 2 Ryan Fitzpatrick mistakes that makes things easy for the Jaguars? Maybe, but the Steelers are clicking on all cylinders. This would be, if this happens and the Jaguars either cover and win, this would be just like the Patriots just laying an egg at Tennessee last week. That would be the stake that it would have to come. But the Steelers have so many better players on offense than the Patriots.
They do. Have you heard, by the way, if you're not watching this live, we're doing this Tuesday morning around 9:30. Do we know Juju's health status? He was in the concussion protocol Thursday night, right?
Let me check. I can check real quick.
I haven't seen anything. Hang on.
No updates. Usually those don't come out when they play early in the week.
Right, but so nothing. Tomlin didn't say anything Monday. Maybe he did. We missed it. I apologize. I should have looked that before the show.
No.
He was in the protocol Thursday night. That was the last I heard. All right. I just think there's a lot of points. I actually just saw. I see 5.5 and 5 in other places. So this number, I think some people think like I do that this one's just, even if the Jags struggle and the spread's a little high here.
But how do they keep it that close? Where is that coming from? Is it a defensive turnover that makes it easy? Because is it Leonard Fournette? Is it just that factor?
It might be Leonard Fournette. Bortles doesn't play terribly every game. Ben has had struggles on the road sometimes.
Ben struggles on the road are a legit argument.
Okay. I mean, it's the whole, like last week, the Redskins looked like they were in a free fall and they came back. The Browns looked like they were in a free fall and they came back.
Right.
We're given a team that was in the AFC Championship last year and has a similar cast of characters, 6 points at home.
That's a fair argument.
I mean, and unless we think they're going to go 3-13, the wins are going to come somewhere. Some wins, if the rest of the way, maybe they win 3 out of 7 or 4 out of 7. Okay. I know the Steelers are a good opponent, but I don't know. It seems like a lot of points to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a good argument.
All right, Titans, Colts. Colts by 2.5, over-unders 48. This is a sneaky, fun game. I got to tell you, I love the schedule this week.
Yeah.
There are so many good – Steelers, Jags is an interesting game. Titans, Colts is Texans, Redskins is an interesting game. There's a lot going on here. Did you see the Quentin Nelson clip on Twitter yesterday? Mm-hmm. So find it. Quentin Nelson on the guard from the Colts. There's this clip of him just completely pancaking a guy, like running the guy over and driving him into the ground on a pull. And the clip just has him going, running the guy over. It's fantastic.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I thought I read Luck hasn't been sacked in 4 weeks. Is that true?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is putting up numbers, man.
And the Colts line's playing well. The Colts are – so they're a better team than we thought. In the beginning of the year, they looked like a bottom 5 team. The 2 weeks before this past week, they had beaten the Bills and the Raiders to get to 3-5. You go, okay, nice wins, but let's see. Beating the Jags at home, solid. Jags are struggling, but it's still solid. Now they run into another team that's kind of coming along. We talked about Mariota and that maybe the hand really factored into the way he was playing. And the last 3 weeks he's played well. They had that tough loss in London where they went for the 2. The last 2 weeks they've played well. Like this is funny. These are 2 teams that I really like the direction they're going, and now they run into each other. Mm-hmm. I think I'm on the Titans bandwagon more than I'm on the Colts bandwagon.
A million things. This is one of my deep dives for the week for another freelance job that I have. But so I hadn't done it in 3 weeks, John. I flipped my pick Sunday morning. I had the Titans 6.5, and I flipped it to the Patriots. And then when, I don't know if you saw the start of the Titans-Patriots game, Titans had a monster 50-yard plus kickoff return to start the game. I go, there's no way in HE double hockey sticks that I'm going to cover this game. There's just no way. And then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I'm going back to my no flipping rule the rest of the year because it's treated me well. The Colts, the only contrarian point, and I like the Colts right now, Andrew Luck has thrown for 3 or more touchdowns in 5 or 6 straight games, which is, if you think about it, remarkable because this guy's shoulder was like basically RIP, right? Nobody knew if his shoulder was healthy. 3 or more touchdowns in 5 or 6 straight games. However, their second halves at home, the last 2 home games are atrocious. If you go to my Twitter feed, at Freelance Fowler, I broke down their 3rd and 4th quarter drives, their last 2 home games. They're disgusting. The only ways that they have scored over the last 3rd and 4th quarter of their last 2 home games were off of Derek Anderson turnovers, which got them the ball at the 2-yard line, at the 20-yard line of the opposing team. So outside, and again, like I said, they got shut out by the Jaguars in the second half this past week. So it's been a little shaky. You have this, we talk about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's what the Colts are a little bit. The Titans, on the other hand, they've scored 62 points over their last 7 quarters. 7 quarters, 62 points. That's ridiculous. I'm on the Titans in this game to cover.
Can I give one wet blanket note about Andrew Luck?
Sure.
Your air yards per attempt ranked 20th in the league.
Yes.
Down with Alex Smith. He's dinking and dunking.
Yep.
So.
Because it's weird. T.Y. Hilton and him haven't built a couple times earlier in the season. You heard T.Y. out there, and T.Y. got dinged up a few times early in the season, but there's not that vertical T.Y. Andrew Luck great feeling, and maybe that is a microcosm of some shoulder concern, not trusting it or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm going Titans in this one, but I'll let you know on Friday. Texans, Redskins. Texans favored by 2.5 at Washington, over under 43. Both teams, by the way, for their last 5 have been under. This is a low total for sure. My first note, by the way, we do show notes beforehand. My first bullet point says, Redskins, offense bad, defense good. That's hard-hitting analysis there, Ryan.
I mean, that's why they pay you the big bucks. It really is. I mean, this is how you've extended your fantasy NFL analysis career 15 plus years.
Yeah, that's really hard-hitting. Yeah, the Redskins, I thought, okay, looking at last week's game, the Redskins are so beat up on offense. Literally, they were down 3 starting offensive linemen, and the 4th, the right tackle, Morgan Moses, was a game-time decision. It turned out he played. They were down. Jameson Crowder still out. Paul Richardson was out. I mean, Chris Thompson was out. I'm looking, I'm going, these guys can't overcome this. You know, it's too much to ask. It's not me wanting to beat up on the Redskins, which I like doing, really. But I'm just looking on, it's too much. They're not going to be able to score. Well, they didn't score much, but the defense played great against the Bucs. Okay, did you read the story about –
how important is your segue? If it's important, we'll hear it out. I have a counter argument to
that. Go ahead.
They played well in that the Buccaneers were 0 for 5 in the red zone.
All right.
Is that good? I mean, that's bend, do not break. That's New England Patriots way. Ryan Fitzpatrick throws for 400 yards. They tally 500 yards. A week after the Atlanta Falcons tally 491. Bend, do not break. That's my argument to the Redskins, where everything's a mess on offense, and their defense allows Atlanta to drop 491, and then a Ryan Fitzpatrick offense to drop 502.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough to say. I feel great about what the Redskins are doing, especially with the defensive front of the Texans going against a completely shattered offensive line. It's going to be a nightmare situation for Washington this week.
The turnovers hurt the Bucs, for sure. But did you read what they did with the play calling?
I did not.
So Todd Monken has been calling plays all year, the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. People who know more than I do, raving about this guy, you know, and it's a great situation. You know, the weapons are good, and Fitz, you know, whether it's Fitz or Jameis, other than the turnovers, they move the ball and they're scoring points, and people are going, wow, this guy's doing really great. And last week, after the game, they scored 3 points. I know they moved the ball, but they were bad in the red zone. And Dirk Carter goes, yeah, we switched it this week. I decided to take over the play calling. Why? Why would, even though it wasn't the disaster that the scoreboard suggests, as you said, but why? Why did he do that? And what he said was, he explained it Monday, and he said, I know we were moving the ball. I wanted to change things against the Redskins. I wanted to keep our defense off the field because I thought the Redskins would run and control the ball, and if we just, you know, chuck the ball all the time, our offense would come off the field a lot and our defense would get tired. You go, but like, you tried to fix something that wasn't broken.
Right, and the only thing you can think of is Dirk Connor knows he's on a hot seat and he's controlling his own destiny, which has just now become worse because he changed it up. Had he gone with it, you have a Tampa Bay offense that's averaging 28 points per game, and then they get 3. I mean, that you just made yourself even a bigger target for being replaced before the end of the season because you thought, oh, I'm going to do this. And you thought they were going to run the ball. They're missing 3 offensive linemen. And I know the Buccaneers defense is terrible, but they're missing 3 offensive linemen. Yeah. So, and the one other fun stat that, again, in another article I wrote, Alex Smith has thrown for 178 yards exactly. 178 exactly. 3 out of his 4 games, in 3 of his past 4 games. 178 on the dot. I mean, is he a game manager or what? He even knows how to get it exactly on 178.
He is a game manager, that's for sure.
And the Texans secondary is getting better, and they're getting healthy.
Yeah, and I agree with you that this is a different situation for the Redskins offense. With their offensive line issues and the Titans front, this is going to be a problem. I think I'm going Texans here. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Texans coming off a bye too, by the way. Bucks Giants. Bucks are getting 1. Giants favored by 1 at home. Over under is 51. The Bucks. See the Bucks losses recently. I'm going to pull up their game by game. You look and you say, well, there's been some close losses. Yeah, not so much. They are, let me pull them up. So they beat the Browns in a close game in overtime. They lost by 3 at Cincinnati, but that game was what, 37-16 or something, or 34-16, and they made a late rally. Panthers, well, they lose by 14, but they were down 35-7 or something.
Yep.
And I mean, the Bucks, the defense is bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's really bad. I mean, maybe the Redskins kind of, gave them a gift last week by not being able to move the ball because they were so beat up. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think the Giants could pull this one out.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, I don't know why in watching Eli and some of those plays and talk about dinking and dunking for much of the game or the season, it's very painful sometimes to watch whatever the play call is. But yeah, you hear the name Sterling Shepard and what he has done in the past. You know what Odell has done in the past. We know what Evan Ingram can be. Saquon is ridiculous. That big run he had in clutch time in fourth quarter. I mean, that was like, there's the big play that he has done almost every game, and you know one is coming. And now he gets the Buccaneers defense. I like the Giants in this spot. I mean, Eli is going to make some dumb mistake at some point, whether it's taking a sack because he's not mobile. There's been so many tipped interceptions this year. I could see that because he's off the target a little bit. I mean, Eli's going to not look sharp for all 4 quarters, but they have enough offensive weapons that I always feel confident that they can at least keep things close. And when you're playing a team like the Buccaneers, and again, if Dirk's calling the plays again, who knows? Probably not. I like the Giants in this spot. I could definitely see Fitzpatrick going out there and lighting it up for 400, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And I could be wrong because the Giants aren't going to score that many points. But the Buccaneers have a lot of holes to fill to be competitive on any given week. And I think the Giants, again, they have to come back across the country and get ready. But
short week, definitely.
I like the over.
Coming back from San Francisco, their plane landed probably 7 o'clock this morning at the earliest.
Yeah.
So that's a long, they're going to be back at work tomorrow. That's a short week. So yeah, how much that can affect. Okay, Broncos Chargers. All right, so Chargers by 7. I want to see if it went up already.
You think it went up?
Oh yeah. I don't get this one at all.
Okay. You love your Chargers. They're not charging.
They are so not charging.
They're doing the opposite of charging.
I see 7 everywhere. Over unders 47. By the way, on that, these teams have been under recently. Chargers 4 of the last 5, Broncos 6 of the last 8. So the Chargers are 7-2 with losses to the Chiefs and the Rams. The Broncos have lost 6 of their last 7 with their only win at Arizona. And I'm only given 7 points with the Chargers at home. I know the home field advantage is not great, but come on, man. This makes no sense. I mean, I look at the Broncos home games here. So they lost by 13 at Baltimore, and I think it wasn't that close. They lost by 18 at the Jets. All right, they won at Arizona, and they lost a reasonable game. They basically were down 10 to Kansas City, and they kicked a late field goal for an onside kick.
Chargers 5-4 against the spread.
The Chargers are such a clearly better team than the Broncos are.
I would agree with that.
And I think the spread's too low. Like I think there's big blowout potential here. In case Keenum's not really good.
No, and again, the amount of tunnel vision he has with Emmanuel Sanders is almost comical at this point. Chargers. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and there's going to be one game where it's like, oh yeah, we're just going to play down to the level of our competition. And it could be in a division matchup, right? I mean, if anybody knows what they're going to do, it's going to be the Broncos and the older defense. I have to think about this one. What's the over under 47? Yeah. Probably thinking under on that one.
Right. I don't have to think about this.
Yeah, so this you have so much confidence in this. I think this actually reminds me of the confidence you had in the Bears covering against the home Bears covering against the Lions last week. There's a similar confidence level there.
Yeah,
that was right.
The spread's too small.
Right.
And I think the matchup in quality is similar. I think that's a good analogy by you.
Yeah. So. I feel I like watching them play. I like watching the Chargers play because like the Steelers in a certain way, they just keep throwing so much at you. You got Melvin Gordon, you got Austin Eckler, you got Keenan Allen, you got Mike Williams. I mean, it never stops on offense. And it just seems like, again, Phillip isn't shooting himself in the foot like he has in years past. And that's just such a huge thing. Are we going to just keep Bosa as question mark the rest of the year? Is he ever is that guy, is he Frankenstein's monster? What is going on there? Like, are they rebuilding him?
I hope he's back soon.
Just imagine how good that team could be with a healthy Bosa.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just like, well, we don't need you yet because we just keep rolling.
Maybe.
Keep getting healthy.
This week they probably don't. So, he last I heard, he's not practicing. He's doing, change of direction stuff and things like that. So it doesn't sound like he's that close.
No.
I'm not sure. Raiders, Cardinals. So.
I'm not watching this game. You have to watch this game.
I do?
Yeah.
All right, so Cardinals favored by 4. Over-under's 40.5. Funny, these teams have been under. The Raiders, 13 of the last 16 have been under. Cardinals, 9 of the last 13 has been under, but 40.5, that's a low one.
Yeah.
So last week, there was a report last week that – so Byron Leftwich is the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, and he worked under Bruce Arians. He was basically started as, I think, an intern under Bruce Arians. And, but Leftwich talked when he got the job a few weeks ago about how, he was, he'd like to sit and watch film with Bruce all the time. And I think Arians did their game the other day. And there was a report last week that basically said, that Arians told Leftwich, just run the whole offense through David Johnson and Fitz. Last 2 weeks, Fitz has like 22 targets or something, which he wasn't getting before. David Johnson touched the ball 29 times or 27 times on Sunday. And he's not running the ball up the middle like he was with the former offensive coordinator. They're actually getting him out there, throwing to him. They're running him outside more. I think I read that 59% of his runs with McCoy were between the tackles, whereas with Leftwich it's been like 40%. And with Arians it was 35. So they're getting back to things that work for their best player. Duh.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
The Raiders, on the other hand, 5 consecutive double-digit losses. This is, I have said multiple times with you, I always hesitate to look at a team and say they're rolling over because they're professional football players, and I don't want to say that about them. It sounds like this team is rolling over. And one of the Raiders, there was a story, one of them walked out of the locker room the other day, and in front of 3 media guys just walked by and went, I just got to get the hell out of here. It's just a bad scene there right now. Gruden's tanking, obviously. And there are players in the middle of it, but they got to watch their team tank.
So if we had to take a poll of the most depressed or low self-esteem quarterback in the NFL, it would be Nathan Peterman, who was cut by the Bills yesterday. And then it will probably – I'm sorry?
I said bye, Nathan.
Bye, Nathan.
Good job.
And then it would probably be Derek Carr. Derek Carr, I mean, everything is unraveled. I go back to when he broke his leg in that play, I think against the Broncos last year. It might have been 2 years ago. I mean, it literally snapped. He goes, I broke my leg. I remember he was mic'd up. Since that game, I just don't think that Derek Carr has really been out there. Because when he threw the ball into the turf on 4th and 5 against the Chargers, I go, we've reached an all-time low. There's just no – Carr is so inside his own head, and rightfully so because it's been such a mess of a season. You know who looked like the most inspired player for the Raiders against the Chargers? It was Doug Martin. Doug Martin was trying to be the muscle hamster one more time, and God bless him, he was blasting through and doing some nice things, but there's just no momentum. There's just nothing to literally grasp onto going into the next game. And like you said, with Fitz and DJ running that offense, the Raiders aren't going to be able to stop that to the point where they're going to cover that 4. I'll take the home team to cover the 4.
I mean, I think this is 20-10 or something.
I think that's fair.
So, all right. We're at about 50 minutes, by the way, so we should wrap this up in the next 10.
We're moving.
Saints, Eagles. Saints favored by 7.5, over under 52. So the Saints might be the best team in the NFL, right?
So much fun to watch.
Yeah. Am I really writing the Eagles? Am I done with the Eagles? That I'm looking at this spread and saying they're going to get blown out by the Saints?
I think the one area where, when I saw the spread and I'm like, okay, Eagles, why the Eagles? Why the Eagles? They have to go to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And they have no secondary. That's not good. They just lost Darby for the year. Their secondary is completely chewed up. Now, you could make the argument all the Saints really have is Michael Thomas because they had to go out and sign Brandon Marshall because Dez was lost for the year. They don't really have a wide receiver 2. They definitely really don't have a wide receiver 3 because Cameron Meredith, IR, Ted Ginn Jr., IR. So they run the offense kind of like DJ and Fitz are on the Cardinals. I mean, Drew Brees is targeting Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, and Michael Thomas. I mean, the majority of the time, the percentage has to be close to 70% of the offensive plays go through those 3 guys. But where are the Eagles going to be able to keep pace with, again, Drew Brees is not making mistakes. His touchdown to interception ratio is 22 or 23 to 1. There's just no mistakes being made, and you're going against a secondary that is completely banged up and is probably not getting healthy enough to be able to slow down this machine this week.
I still think Wentz is really good.
Oh, I completely agree. And the Saints defense, though, is not getting worse. I mean, they're just not making mistakes.
I think they're going to get Tate more involved. I mean, Tate wasn't on the field very much on Sunday night.
You only got 4 targets. And I think 29 or something.
I think the snap count, his snap count was under 20. I don't think they were ready to work him in full time.
How are they not ready? They had 2 weeks. That's why I'm like, who's running the show over there?
Well, maybe it's just, I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense because Demaryius Thomas was there like 24 hours and he was more involved than Golden Tate was in 10 plus days. That's where I'm like, what are they doing? Because I know Nelson Aguilar and Jordan Matthews had a nice game for the Eagles. And then obviously Alshon. But you brought in Tate for a reason, and then you're going to give him 18 snaps? I just don't understand what happened there. Maybe the Eagles' offense is hard to learn.
And you've got – so if Tate's integrated more, I mean, now you got Jeffrey, Aguilar, Tate, and Ertz, which is a lot of weapons.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't run the ball especially well. Josh Adams ran fine the other night, and they said they're going to run it more. But I don't know. I feel like this could be a good game. Like this jumped out at me and said, like, I get how good the Saints are, and I get that they've 5 of their last 6 have been by double digits. I mean, they're playing great. This is a lot of points to give the Eagles.
It is. And the one other thing you have to remember, the Saints have won 8 straight, and there's a stat out there where teams that have won 8 straight going into the 9th game, 1-6 against the spread since last year.
I like that one.
Yeah. So, again, it's just hard because the NFL, like you said, you always mention a great point, and this shouldn't be taken lightly. These guys have pride. Like, they don't want to just be pushed around and be like, the Saints are so good, blah, blah, blah. These guys all are really elite athletes, and this last time I checked, the Eagles did win a Super Bowl last year. I know they played like poo, but 7.5. So the Saints win 30-27. Eagles win. I mean, it's just – or 23. I mean, Eagles win. It is possible. The one thing that concerned me going in was, man, that secondary for the Eagles is really
I agree. But, I mean, the Eagles are 4-6 if they lose this.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in deep trouble if they lose.
But you don't think the Eagles can win outright, right? You wouldn't take the money line.
They could. I mean, that's the thing. I don't want to give 7.5 points against a team that I think could win the game.
There you go.
I don't think I would bet them with the money line, whatever that is.
Plus
but this is, I mean, within the realm of possibility, yeah. I don't know.
But man, I just don't see where the flaw is with the Saints.
I agree. I mean, maybe they'll win every game the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Drew Brees is not going to let the Eagles win that game. Will he let them cover? That's up to the defense.
Hold on a second. I know I said I wanted to move along, but wait a second.
This is a good game. I mean, like you said, there are a lot of compelling matchups.
I want to see what the money line is. Now it's up to, oh my gosh, it's up to 9 in some places.
Oh, it went from 7.5 to 9.
Give me all the Eagles. The money line.
That's getting a little ridiculous.
Plus 334 on the Eagles.
Hang on one second. I'll give you one other stat.
I would please give me the Eagles here for this. Sign me up. At 9, I'm all over. I mean, I'm taking the Eagles against the spread. No doubt about it.
Yeah. So
it stays above a touchdown.
Here's another stat. Since 2014, the Saints are 2-8 against the spread when home favorites are 7 or more points. Now I know rosters change in 2014.
Yep.
It's quote unquote, but 2-8. The Saints sometimes, that Buccaneers game earlier this year, the Browns when they were still with Tyrod, the Saints, and I know that was early Saints, and it's been 8 straight since, but 2-8 against the spread when they're favored by 7 or more at home.
Yeah.
That's telling, and that's still Drew Brees. So,
all right, 2 more games. Let's whip through them. Bears favored by 3 at home against the Vikings. Over under 45.5. Bears are back to full strength, and they looked at the other day against Detroit. Khalil Mack was terrific. This is a defensive game for me. Yards per play. Bears defense is 3rd. Minnesota's 7th. I like this game. I feel like I have been a Bears booster all season, as you know.
Yes.
I've been a Vikings booster for much of it, as you know. I don't know. I certainly trust Cousins more than I trust Trubisky. Trubisky's been, he has these really good games, and then he kind of looks like he can't throw well.
Right.
In others. I don't know what I'm going to do here. My early lean is Vikings, but I don't know.
Yeah, mine's Vikings too. I thought I remembered hearing Tariq Cohen got hurt. Did he get hurt?
He did. I know there was a helmet-to-helmet play. I saw it.
Yeah, but again, no update on my cheat sheet over here.
All right.
So yeah, that's just one wrinkle to think about. I just think again, when you look at what the Vikings line up there, and I know the pass rush of Khalil Mack and what the Bears feature there on defense is pretty scary. And Kirk Cousins has made some mistakes in recent weeks. But again, I think a division matchup like this, Vikings, they still want to kind of stake their claim to the NFC North. I'd lean Vikings, but this is probably a Thursday hour before Thursday night kickoff when I usually make all my picks. I'd pick.
Yeah.
But man, that'll be a fun game to watch. Again, if you like old school smash mouth football, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I am certainly on the fence on this one. I'll decide later. Finally, the game we've been waiting for right here. Rams Chiefs. Rams currently favored by 2.5. Over under 63.5, highest in the history of the NFL.
Under. Elevation's going to slow down those 2 offenses in Mexico City.
Okay, funny situation. So the elevation, it's funny. I was starting to look and going, why are they treating this?
I didn't even notice you had that in the notes. Sorry.
Why are they treating this so much differently than they do a game in Denver? The reason is Denver's a mile above sea level. Mexico City is almost 7,400 feet above sea level. So the Rams are spending the week in Colorado Springs, training at altitude. The Chiefs are staying home. Interesting. I don't know what it means.
No, it's good.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and
as a former resident of Colorado Springs, I like that the Rams are there and, all that.
Did you happen to catch during Monday Night Football last night, the overhead shot of their stadium getting prepped?
No.
The field looks completely tore up.
Really?
I know they could lay new sod and this or that, but it's probably a soccer stadium, I'm guessing. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. It just looked really, really bad, like Washington level bad, where you're like, is RG Knees situation going to happen. It just didn't look like it was good shape. They could flip it around and have it ready by Monday. Who knows? It just didn't look like it was in that great of shape.
I don't know why every team, every stadium, everywhere doesn't have artificial turf and a dome at this point, but whatever.
Ooh, wait, a dome? Wow.
Yeah.
That is progressive.
They're expensive. I get that part.
Yeah.
But, why do I want to? I mean, why do you want to sit down and watch a football game when it's 20 degrees? I've done it. It sucks.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Cleveland and I went to many games. I understand, but I think that's part of what some people enjoy is the environment and the cold. And hey, I'm watching it drinking Coke or a hot Coke or something. They're going to battle on the football field. I'm glad I'm not them, but I'm glad I'm watching them.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch those snow games, they're awesome to watch on TV. Try sitting in the stands for one of them. It's terrible. I've done it. It's terrible. Yeah. I mean, I was 9 years old. I watched a Giants-Bears game that went to the end of overtime. It was sleeting. And I was like sitting in a bag, like a blanket, and I wouldn't let my dad leave. I'm like, the game's tied. I'm not going. He's like, dude, the Giants are 4-9. Like, why do we need to watch this? And he's a huge fan. I'm going, nuh-uh, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, when I would go to Browns games as a kid in the winter, I looked like the kid from Christmas Story, all bundled up who couldn't put his arms down. And I was 6 foot tall. I was a freakishly tall kid.
I can't put my arms down.
I can't put my arms down.
All right, so Rams won 5-1 against the spread in their last 7. By the way, everybody.
Defense stinks.
I'm not sure. This is a tough game for me to pick too. I think I'm going Rams, but they're lately. I got my wary eye on them because they're not playing as well as they did early.
Yeah, that defense, man. You can.
Yeah.
If you can't stop Seattle, a one-dimensional, like you knew what the Seahawks were going to do.
Right.
And do you remember what the spread was off the top of your head for the Seahawks? They were getting 10 points.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, what? Like, they're going to have this – the Rams are going to have this huge bounce-back game because they lost to the Saints and they're going to blow the Seahawks out? There was no chance. Like, even if backdoor cover happened, there was just no chance Russell Wilson was going to lose by more than 10 points to that team, especially when they played them as close as they did in Seattle. With that said, I think, man, again, 2 bad defenses. The Chiefs' defense isn't anything to write home about. I would probably lean Rams in this just because I love Todd Gurley so much. Now, the Rams did lose Cooper Kupp. That, I mean, is obviously going to impact their options because now they're down a possession receiver. They're Danny Amendola, their slot receiver. So, I still think, man, Todd Gurley is just so crazy, and Goff has a little bit more experience than Patrick Mahomes. I think, again, this is going to be a great game. I'm going to take the under, and I'll take the Rams to cover the 2.
Okay. I think I'll probably I don't know. I still don't know who I'm going to take. I think I'll probably take the under as well, but I don't want to take the under. I want it to be 52-51.
Right.
But I'll probably take the under. All right. Anything else? We're good. We're over an hour. We got to go.
Oh, it was a great conversation. Learned about Luke's great catch at the beginning. Learned a little bit about I don't know, the Browns just being an exciting team again to really take down a Super Bowl contender Falcons team.
Yeah. Super Bowl contender. That's a shot at me. I know it is.
Baker Mayfield's feeling dangerous.
Someone should make a t-shirt. A dangerous shirt.
Or 20 of them overnight.
Yeah. You got one? Did you do one?
We didn't, but there were a lot of companies that did.
Someone did one and made the G a 6.
Oh, God. Numbers as letters. Hot right now. Hot right now.
So hot. Was it Zoolander?
It is Zoolander.
So hot right now.
But, yeah, it all starts with the Derek Jeter respect.
Yeah, that's true. It all starts with Derek Jeter, doesn't it? Really?
It does.
It all comes back to Derek Jeter.
Gift baskets and all.
All right, everybody. He's at Freelance Fowler. I'm at Halpin37. The main account is at Pickwatch. Please, if you're watching this on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube. Remember, the game discussions, the Thursday, the Seahawks-Packers, I will cut and put it on our YouTube page so you can watch the 5 minutes of that. Josh and I talk about every game on Thursday. We cut up the game clips and put them on the YouTube channel. So please subscribe to that. If you're watching this on YouTube, like our Facebook page so you can watch these live. That's it for today's edition of Pickwatch Live. I'll be back probably Friday morning with Josh. We're going to go over all the rest of the games. We're going to wrap up Packers Seahawks, look ahead to all the rest of the games in week 11. So please come on back then. For Ryan Fowler, I'm John Halpin. Thanks for watching Pickwatch Live.